Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Ask a Witch. My name's Katrina Rasbold. I've been a practicing witch for almost 40 years, and for close to 10 of those years, I have been a professional witch doing cleansings, rituals, spell work, and readings, as well as class for other people. And in those classes, people have wonderful questions. And one of the questions I got asked recently was, how do you use effigies or poppets in your magic? Now, this is again something that is very individual. Sorry for the beans. I should have shut that off. People do it in different ways, but this is how I do it, and this is how I was taught. For some work, I use these little guys. These are called king babies, and they're available. You can get them on Amazon even. It's got to do with a practice of baking a king baby into a king cake. And I've just found these little plastic guys to be really helpful for bindings and also for mirror box work. And I'll tell you how I use those in a minute. The other thing I use is a poppet, and that's this. Now, when you purchase a poppet or make one, there's certain things you got to have for the poppet to be a real legit poppet. One is it should always have a heart on it. Now, the heart reminds you that this is a person that you're using the poppet for, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute. You should also have, and you can't see it very well, but it's in there. Here we go. I'll pull some out. Some Spanish moss inside the poppet, and that is the receptor, the receiver for the energy. Workers actually will say that that's the poppet's soul. So what I'm going to do with either of these effigies or poppets is we're going to use them to represent people in a magical working. So if we have to do a binding on somebody, we're going to use one of these and we're going to imbue the essence of that person into the poppet, or in this case, the effigy. And the way I do it with the effigy is I put their initials on his little tummy, and I just hold it and focus on them, maybe have a picture up of them so I can get a really good feel of them, and just kind of put them into there, and I can kind of feel when it catches and is in there. And I do the same thing with the poppet. Now, with the poppet, what's nice is most poppets you get will have an opening in them, and that's for you to stuff it, and you can put anything of that person's belongings in there that you want to that'll fit. You can put hair or fingernail trimmings or body leavings or whatever might connect the poppet to them more closely. You can write their name on a piece of paper and put it inside there. You can put a photograph inside there, whatever you want to personalize it to them. Now, our poppets that I hand make, and I even hand sew around the edges. I mean, we hand make every little bit of this. I have a little bit of string that comes out at this side, and you can use that to sew up the rest of the poppet side once you have filled it up with whatever you're going to put in it. Once you have dedicated the poppet to a particular person, you can do to the poppet what you would do to that person. So sometimes if you're binding them up, for me, I'll put these in a little cup that has banishing herbs in it, close it up, shake it up real good so that he's covered with the banishing herbs. And then I use Gorilla Tape to bind up the container, and then I'll get rid of the container, I usually bury it somewhere so it's not going to be disturbed. Don't bury it. If you're trying to banish somebody, don't bury the container at your house. A lot of people, that just amazes me. They'll do a witch's bottle on somebody or a binding or banishing, and then they'll bury it in their backyard. That's the last place you want it. You want to make sure you take it away from you. I usually go to a cemetery or some place where I can pretty well be assured that it's not going to be disturbed. You find a lot of witches' bottles in the foundation of buildings because people will take the little bottle and they'll fill it all up with everything they're going to put in there. And then they'll put it in a cinder block in a building that's being built so that nobody sees it. And then you got a whole building on top of it, and it's unlikely to be disturbed. They used to say to throw it into a running water or moving water, and that's just stupid. Don't do that, because if you're using a jar and the jar breaks, your spell's undone. So burying it seems to be the best thing to go. Now, bindings and witches' jars are probably the most common ways that poppets are used, but they're also used in love spells. You can take two poppets and name one for one person and one for the other, and you can tie them together so that they're facing each other, and put them in between your mattresses. You can, or like your mattress and your box springs. You could put them on an altar. You could move them together closer every day until they're together, and then bind them up together so that they're connected to one another. You can I've even done a lot of healing on poppets. I use bigger ones, even dolls and teddy bears and things like that, to do healings, because again, it represents a person. So you can give them a back massage if you know they're having back pain. You can send them Reiki through the poppet. You can just love on them, and just hold them and send them kindness and compassion, and um wish them self-love. I mean, you can send whatever energy you want to the person through the poppet. Now, here's what I found. The little babies, they're great as effigies. Now, effigy also represents a person, but they're not so great at absorbing the energy if you want to send them Reiki or something healing. For that, I like to use cloth. So for those, I always use the poppets. So that's how I um, use a poppet. You can even use a poppet on yourself if you want to heal your own back, or you want to um, get yourself a job. Take an effigy and put it into money drawing herbs and shake it up. Work on yourself that way too. But that's how I work with poppets. And there's lots of affect other people or yourself using poppets. But that's, and I hope that helps. Y'all take care. Bye bye.